Hey y'all, Silverpone here, and I'm here to talk about why the next Dragon Ball game will be big. So, Dragon Ball has been a very popular franchise for a very, very long time, and the video games are also part of the reason the franchise has gotten as big as it has. We all know that the anime gives us our most loved characters a time in the spotlight. Okay, so not everyone. But the video games always let you choose your own character. Even nowadays, create your own character. But I'm not here to talk about our favorite games. I'm here to talk about why the next Dragon Ball game will be huge. Now to get started, let's look at some of the past releases and start from Xenoverse 2. Xenoverse 2 came out in 2016. And around that time, we were presented a new contract from Bandai Namco saying that every year from that point on, we would get a new Dragon Ball game. So the fans had something to look forward to every single year. That contract, however, that began in 2016 ended in 2021. The contract was renewed in 2021, extending the time frame until 2022, around December the 9th. I haven't gone to make sure if they've updated anything, or I haven't seen any information on any updates, so if you've seen anything about them updating this contract or making a new contract, please let me know down below in the comments. Otherwise, it's still the same. There hasn't been any update since the December 9th update. So that stayed the same. The contract is void at that point. But just because the contract is almost over doesn't mean we should lose hope yet. In fact, the contract start date was around 2016, so we can count Xenoverse 2 as the first title to be announced from this arrangement. In 2017, we got nothing. I think Xenoverse 2 was re-released for Switch and Stadia at the time. In 2018, we got the release of a fan favorite game, Dragon Ball FighterZ, which was a high-octane 2D level fighter, which was a personal fan favorite. In 2019, we got no game. But, to be fair, we did get the makings of Dragon Ball Super Broly, which did take a lot of time and effort from the Dragon Ball staff and up tops. And that was something that the Dragon Ball fandom actually did need, so that film did play a huge role in boosting numbers for the series. It was a complete masterpiece, we can all agree on that. In 2020, we got the release of Dragon Ball Kakarot. A breath of fresh air for fans of the series, presenting many new immersive gimmicks to feel like more like Dragon Ball than it ever has before. I'll talk some more on Kakarot later, but for now I'm going to keep going. In 2021, I don't think we got anything super noticeable that happened, besides maybe a few DLCs for past games like Xenoverse 2 and FighterZ and things of that nature. In 2022, we are currently waiting the new game, Dragon Ball The Breakers. A game very, very similar to Friday the 13th, and that brings an end to the contract. As I said before, December 9th is when the contract ends. So things can always change, and we could always get a new contract, or extend the old one, or however they want to go about it. But I'm here to give you hope, because there are way too many reasons that the franchise will continue to pump out games. Number 1. Dragon Ball is more popular now than it ever was before. Many of the other content creators on the platform have said the same thing, but Dragon Ball has begun to get more corporate than it has before. And this may be a result of the release of Battle of Gods back in 2013. Battle of Gods inflated the series numbers heavily, bringing a lot of new eyes onto the franchise. Toei probably understands the popularity now, and they wish for more of a longevity for the series as a whole, meaning that they want to release as much content as possible. And milk it, you kind of just milk it. Like, think about GTA 5 and how they've been releasing content for that game. That's pretty much the state of Dragon Ball now. It's not a bad thing, because it means we'll get more Dragon Ball, but as things do get more corporate, they can lose a little bit more, independence from the author and things of that nature. But more on that later. We'll talk about that in another video. Number 2, the demand for Dragon Ball hasn't gone away. No matter what we get in this series, there's always a feeling of, this is cool, but what if? Toei and Bandai understand that we will always take more if we can get it. That's obvious, from Xenoverse 2 to FighterZ to Kakarot. Number 3, we're still getting movies. Dragon Ball Superhero, the latest installment, brought even more eyes onto our lovable franchise. And if you're a true Dragon Ball fan, you understand that movie characters equal more game material. Well, I guess you could say that about any game series, really. Well, any series-inspired games. Anyways, they wouldn't just make a new movie with no future for a game. After all, more money is always the better for Toei and Bandai. So I think we've covered the most of what we need to know to dictate if we may get a new game soon. But personally, I wanted to take some time and throw in some of my own opinions at the end here. It's looking like a new Dragon Ball game would be very on brand for Dragon Ball at this point. But we all know Dragon Ball The Breakers is around the corner. But what does this mean? Well, this game happens to be like a side game, taking place seemingly in the same universe as Xenoverse 2. They even advertise Dragon Ball The Breakers on the main menu of Xenoverse 2 now. And this game, though, being a side game means that it will only sell for about $20, Standard Edition. Now, why would they make this game $20? Why wouldn't they just make this game full price? And the answer to that is simple. This game isn't a fighter. It's more of a survival type game, like I said before, resembling Friday the 13th. The fans of Dragon Ball, including myself, have already realized this from the super obvious gameplay we've been getting from the past few months and the beta testing going on from Dragon Ball Breakers. Being that the game isn't a fighter may have been also disheartening to many fans who still play Xenoverse 2 and other titles in the past. Just hoping for a new revamped fighter bringing all the characters we love. But that still may be the case. In my personal opinion, I feel as though this game may be like an appetizer before the main course. Meaning, Bandai understands that what we, the fans, the consumer, wants. So, in a way, this game is hitting two birds with one stone for them. They're trying something new that isn't a fighter to see about future releases and the reaction they get. Meaning they won't continue to do fighter after fighter. So we wouldn't get a release like Xenoverse 3 and then Raging Blast 3 the next year. They're gonna, if Xenoverse 3 did come out, they'd probably take the time the next year to come out with something more soft-hearted that isn't a fighter. Something still fun, but new for the franchise as a whole. And them doing this also, it's not just letting them test something new, it's also holding over the fans until we get the next game that we want. So that's two birds with one stone there. But being that there have been many opinions online before the announcement of Breakers that Dragon Ball has been silent, it's a good thing because the community was kind of quiet for a while. We didn't hear any Dragon Ball news that wasn't regarding DLC for a hot minute. Anyways, back to Kakarot. Let's take a look at some of Kakarot's new features and gimmicks. All the things incorporated into Kakarot make me personally think that the next multiplayer Dragon Ball game will be breathtakingly good. Kakarot's new features should show how far the devs have come to delivering an almost perfect Dragon Ball game, at least for right now. And if you're asking why even compare, why would one game show you another game's potential? Well, Dragon Ball games always build from themselves. That's why there are a few titles in this game franchise that have a second or third installment, such as Budokai, Burst Limit, Raging Blast, and Xenoverse. Dragon Ball Battle of Z also was originally a form of the first Xenoverse game. A beta, if you will. The city section from Xenoverse 2's lobby world was taken and amplified in Kakarot as well. So some things you see in Kakarot will be implemented in the future to other games as well. One thing I've thought about is the map size. The map size in Kakarot may be a door opener for the next game that is a multiplayer fighter. Even some of the combos as well. As a personal preference though, I think Xenoverse 2's controls feel a little bit more Dragon Ball-esque than Kakarot. Anyways, this has been a little bit of my take on the standing of games now. Tell me what you think down below and if you think the next Dragon Ball game will be a great. Why or why not? But yeah, this is Silverpone signing out. Be sure to like the video for more and subscribe to stay updated with the channel in the future.